Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in here today. Welcome to the Paisley Couch, and welcome to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about compliments. A member of my family who passed away in 2010 was my Uncle Don. And my Uncle Don talked about another member of my family, my cousin, in a very positive light. And he said that I can learn a lot from this member of my family, my cousin. We'll call this member of my family Scott. And my Uncle Don told me, Doug, you should really hang out with your cousin Scott more often. You could probably learn a lot from your cousin by spending more time with him. And my Uncle Don was right about a lot of different things, and it turns out that he was right about that as well, most definitely. Something that really stuck out with me was this. He said, your cousin Scott truly knows the value of a compliment. A compliment doesn't cost you anything, and it can mean the absolute world to someone who's receiving it at the right time. Now, I'm not just talking about any old compliment, nor do I think my Uncle Don was talking about just any old compliment. You can't just throw around compliments willy-nilly. They have to come from a genuine place. They have to come from a place of sincerity. They have to be based on something substantial, something that has meaning. I'm not just talking about complimenting someone's shoes. I'm talking about complimenting who someone is at their core and who they actually are. And speaking the truth about it and actually having some substance behind that compliment. Someone could be working really, really hard on some aspect of their self, on some sort of project they're working on, or even at their job, their everyday job, working really, really hard. They could be struggling just to get by in everyday life. And a well-placed compliment at the right time, right where it's needed, can mean the absolute world to someone. I can think of at least a number of different cases in the past where I was at wit's end and just ready to quit and just not doing things anymore. It's not like someone noticed this in me. They didn't really notice that I'm at wit's end and I'm ready to quit. You'll hear that compliment, or someone will tell you that thing that you need to hear to verify and validate what you're doing has value and what you need to do to keep going forward. So as my Uncle Don said, your cousin Scott knows the value of a compliment. It doesn't cost you anything, and it can mean so much to someone else who needs to hear it and needs to receive it. So have you seen something you admire about somebody? Whatever it is that you admire about that person, whatever it is you respect about them, whatever that thing may be, it doesn't really matter. The thing that really matters is how you bring it up and how you deliver that and how you let them know. Because they might not know that about themselves, or they might really need to hear something that helps them move forward and carry on about their day, or to move forward with that project and get it done a little bit better. They might really need to hear that thing, whatever it is that's on your mind that you admire and respect about them. And a really neat thing about a well-timed compliment is that it won't be forgotten. At least it is unlikely to be forgotten, especially if it comes from a place of total sincerity. It's something that you genuinely admire about someone else, and you phrase it in a way that is palatable for them to accept. You want to phrase it in a way that's not going to be upsetting in any way or maybe taken the wrong way. Context is key. I mean, you don't want them to think you're being sarcastic naturally, right? You want it to be delivered in a way that is seen appropriately, seen as genuine. And that can be tricky sometimes because it looks like a lot of us live in our own heads and have our own language sometimes. It feels like it's a miracle we can even communicate at all. I really feel that way quite often with a lot of the social media nonsense going on these days. But what I'm really trying to say is this. Lucy, I love you so much. Thank you for keeping me sane for these past 10 years. Thank you for being my everyday and caring about me, even when you're facing away from me, pretending like you don't notice me. I love you. She's rubbing against my knee. I think she received that compliment well. Thanks, Lucy. I really mean that about my cat too, and I know it's kind of silly to put myself out there on the internet talking to my cat that way. And I'm not saying that you should talk to your pets or animals, although I think it is really adorable when people do. But that's just an example, I guess. Maybe not the best example when it comes to being genuine and sincere about it. And I was genuine and sincere, but I'm talking to an animal, right? So how many of you, more importantly, are going to take that seriously? You got to know your audience, right? And that's why it's important to know your audience when it comes to paying whoever it is that you want to pay that compliment. And it's funny to say pay a compliment. Where does that come from, right? It doesn't cost you anything. You give a compliment. I think some of the best compliments come from a place where you're not actually complimenting someone based on how they look. That just seems a bit shallow to me. A lot of us aren't in full control over how we look. We have control over certain elements. We have control over our hygiene, maybe our clothing options. Sometimes, if we have enough money and privilege enough to be able to pick the clothes we want to wear, some of us have to wear whatever's given to us or whatever we find somewhere. But yeah, some folks don't have control necessarily over how they look with their bone structure or their skin and how that behaves, or what sort of makeup they can afford to use or not use, or anything like that. That's just surface. This is the body that we have, and this is what we're stuck with, more or less, right? And some of us are luckier than others. I mean, I'm pretty thankful for what I have, even though I can spend a lot of time looking in the mirror and just hating myself sometimes. I don't know if you feel that way. I think it's a normal part of the human condition. And I know that if I feel this way about myself, that perhaps other people might feel that way too from time to time. So I'm not saying you shouldn't compliment people based on how they look, but I do feel that complimenting them based on their intellect, based on something they put their heart and soul into creating that you actually think has value and you think it is amazing. Totally take the opportunity to let them know how you feel about that. It means the world to them. It really, really, really does. And in giving that needed boost they need to keep moving forward to create better things in themselves and also in the physical world around us. I've been thinking a lot too about the physical world and what it is to be alive. A lot of it has to do with movement and moving things around in different ways that satisfy other people enough for you to earn money so you can keep moving things around in the ways that you like to move around. I'm talking like moving food to your face hole. I'm talking about getting to and from another location so you can do work, so you can get money, so you can move from other locations to do other things that you want to do, to move to other locations to do things you don't want to do, to get more of that money so you can do other things that you want to do. And this whole concept of movement. I think that it's a metaphor for why I appreciate the circus and flow arts so much. Not to come full circle back to the circus and flow arts and the things that I love so much about them. I mean, they really have saved me from myself in a lot of different ways, I feel. They give me something to anchor onto and hold on to. Something I can aspire to grow and keep challenging myself on. Learning new things is a great thing to do to fill up those voids in your time. If you're bored, you're not paying attention. I feel that sincerely. Robert Anton Wilson said that. He said, if you're bored, you're not paying attention. I think there's something to that, really. And you'll find that you won't be too bored if you pick up something like these and play around with them. Now, you can trust me. I don't stand to gain anything from doing this. I'm making these videos for free to teach people how to do circus and flow arts and things like that. So on that note, shameless self-promotion time. If you're interested in learning how to juggle, or learning how to juggle clubs, or learning how to contact juggle, just like I've been doing here in this video, that thing that David Bowie did in the Labyrinth, pretty cool stuff. Or you can learn how to pediddle. It's a fancy way of saying spinning things on your finger. It's a funny word, I like saying it, pediddle. Or you can even learn how to do the devil sticks. One of my favorite props. It's one I've been doing for probably the longest time out of all these other things that I do. Then make sure you check out my playlist section and click on the Circus and Flow Arts Basics tab, and you can see all the ones I posted this year. I post a new one every single Sunday of this year, and I post every single day of this year here on YouTube. Kind of like an experiment, right? I want to track myself as a content creator. I've made bad videos, I made good videos, but I'm not deleting any of them. This is part of the whole plan to keep creating every single day and see what happens if one does that every single day. I started out without knowing anything about hardware, software, video editing equipment, lighting, or any of that stuff. I feel some days that I've come a long way and other times that I haven't quite come far enough with this whole project. But I do know this, every single day I can tell you for sure that I feel I'm putting in my all, I'm putting my best into everything that I'm doing lately, especially this year. After everything that's happened the past couple years, getting myself out of alcoholism after 6 or 7 years of falling deep into that and amounting to nothing but depression and bad feelings and wasted time, I gotta do something. I have to make something of myself. And after having my whole livelihood yanked out from underneath my feet and having to just reinvent myself and recreate myself, this year has been very, very fulfilling so far because of this whole channel and this experience. So to anyone who's actually watching this, thank you so much for watching and paying attention to what I'm doing. I know there's a handful of you out there that are actually watching and paying attention to what I'm doing, and I really appreciate it very much. Thanks for commenting on these videos and giving me feedback of what I'm doing. I want to make better quality content. I want to make better quality tutorials, and I'm going to make better quality tutorials. Thank you. I appreciate you for watching. So remember to never give up, do your best, stay true to you, and be amazing. Thanks for watching, folks, and good night.